My dear reader, I hope you have been enjoying these little extracts taken from this beautiful book by J.B. Priestley, John Boynton Priestley to be sure, entitled Essays of Today and Yesterday. And it isn't a book of essays by a variety of authors. They are just by J.B. Priestley, but they come in this series produced by George Harrap and Co. and feature first volumes from a range of different authors. And I'm looking forward to acquiring a couple of the copies. I've referenced them in two of the previous videos I've done, taking detail from this collection. The ones I'm looking for particularly are Hilaire Belloc and Edward Thomas. But today we face the opportunity of finishing this great collection. I think I might go back and watch all the videos again myself because I've really enjoyed it. It's been a real immersion into some of the reading that I enjoyed greatly as a teenager. And of course, I live and spend a lot of time in Yorkshire, and J.B. Priestley has a superb monument there erected by the City Council many years ago, a statue of him as an older man looking out over the now very different and much changed modern city. But let's look at this final extract from the Essays of Today and Yesterday by J.B. Priestley, and it is this one. A Road to Oneself. Sometimes on one of these sunny autumn mornings, when I turn my back on the town and talk to the highway, I seem to have the world to myself. I walk forward, as it were, into a great sunlit emptiness. Once I am a little way out of the town, it is as if the world has been swept clean of men. I pass a few young mothers who are proudly ushering their round-eyed, solemn babies into the presence of a morning sun, a lumbering cart or two, and maybe a knot of labourers who look up from their task with humorous resignation in their faces. These and others I overtake and pass by, and then there is often an end of my fellows. I alone keep a lounging tryst with the sun, himself, I fancy, a mighty genial idler, and the father of all dreamers and idlers among men. A light mist covers the neighbouring hills, which are almost imperceptible, their shapes and colours showing but faintly, so that they seem to stand aloof, things of dream. As I go further along the shining road, I seem to be lounging into a vast empty room. There are sights and sounds in plenty, cows looking over the walls with their great mournful eyes. Here and there a thin blue column of smoke, the cawing of rooks about the decaying woods, and, distantly sounding, the creak of a cart, a casual shout or two, a vague hammering, and more distant still, the noise of the town, now the faint murmur of a hive. Yet to me, coming from the crowded, tumultuous streets, it seems empty because I meet no one by the way. The road, for all its thick drift of leaves, deep gold and brown, at either side, seems to lie naked in the sunshine. And I drink in this unexpected solitude as eagerly as a dusty traveller takes his ale. For a time it comes as a delectable and quickening draught, and though outwardly a sober, meditative, almost melancholy pedestrian, I hold high festival in the spirit, drink deep and revel with the younger gods. One of the greatest dangers of living in large towns is that we have too many neighbours and human fellowship is too cheap. We are apt to become wearied of humanity. A solitary green tree sometimes seems dearer to us than an odd thousand of our fellow citizens. Unless we are hardened, the millions of eyes begin to madden us, and forever pushed and jostled by crowds, we begin to take more kindly to Malthus, and are even willing to think better of Herod and other wholesale depopulators. We begin to hate the sight of men who would appear as gods to us if we met them in Turkestan or Patagonia. When we have become thoroughly crowd sick, We feel that the continued presence of these thousands of other men and women will soon crush, stamp, or press our unique, miraculous individuality into some vile pattern of the streets. We feel that the spirit will perish for want of room to expand in, and we gasp for an air untainted by crowded humanity. Some such thoughts as these come to me at first in my curious little glimpse of solitude. I am possessed by an ampler mood than men commonly know, and feel that I can fashion the world about me to my changing whims. My spirit overflows and seems to fill the quiet, drooping countryside with sudden light and laughter. The empty road and vacant fields, the golden atmosphere and blue spaces, these are my kingdoms, and I can people them at will with my fancies. Beautiful snatches of poetry come into my head, and I repeat a few words, or even only one word, aloud with passionate emphasis, as if to impress their significance and beauty upon a listening host. Sometimes I break into violent little gusts of laughter for my own good pleasure. At other times I sing, loudly and with abandon. To a petrified audience of 1 cow and 3 trees, I protest melodiously that Phyllis has such charming graces that I could love her till I die, and I believe it, too, at the time. I brag to myself and applaud and flatter myself. I even indulge in 1 or 2 of those swaggering daydreams of boyhood in which one finds oneself suddenly raised to some extraordinary eminence, the idol of millions, a demigod among men, from which height one looks down with kindly scorn on those myopic persons who did not know true greatness when they saw it, sarcastic schoolmasters and jeering relatives for the most part. Only by such heightened images, seemingly more applicable to centuries of riotous life than half an hour's sauntering, can I suggest in stubborn words the swelling mood that first comes to me with this sudden, unexpected seclusion. But as the morning wears away, the jubilation arising from this new expansion of oneself dwindles and perishes, the spirit wearies of its play. The road stretches out its vacant length, and few last leaves come fluttering down, and the sun grows stronger, sharpening the outline of the hills. The day is lovelier than ever, but I meet no one by the way, and even the distant sounds of men's travail and sport have died down. After a time, the empty road and silent valley become vaguely disquieting. Like a great room spread for a feast, blazing with lights, opulent in crimson and gold, and yet all deserted and quiet as the grave. I ask myself if all men have been mewed up in offices and underground warehouses by some ghastly edict unknown to me, which has come into force this very morning. Have I alone escaped? Or I wonder if the last day has dawned and been made plain to men, not by the sound of trump, but by some sign in the sky that I have overlooked. A vast hand may have beckoned to all men, or the heavens may have opened while I was busy lighting my pipe. Have all but one of the weary children of earth been gathered to their long rest? I walk in loneliness. Suddenly I see a tiny figure moving on the road before me, and immediately it focuses my attention. What are walls, fields, trees, and cows compared with this miraculous thing, a fellow human being, played upon by the same desires and passions, his head stuffed with the same dreams and fluttering thoughts? In one of the world's greatest romances, is not the most breathless moment concerned with the discovery of a human footprint in the sand? Does not the world's story begin with one human being meeting another? As I keep my eyes fixed on the nearing figure, the last of my vague fancies and egotistical imaginings are blown away. My mind is engrossed by the solidly romantic possibilities of the encounter. Just as I was glad to escape from the sight and sound of men, so I am eager now to break my solitude. The circle is complete. And as we come up together, the stranger and I give him a loud greeting, and he, a little startled, returns the salute. And so we pass on, fellow travellers and nameless companions in a great adventure, knowing no more of each other than the brief sight of a face, the sound of a voice can tell us. We only cry out a hail and farewell through the mist, yet I think we go on our way a little heartened. I love that little essay. It was taken from Papers from Lilliput and written by J.B. Priestley. And if we look at the bibliography here in the rear of the book, I can read to you the bibliography so you see where these pieces were taken from to create this collection. Brief Diversions, Papers from Lilliput, 1922. I for One, 1923. Figures in Modern Literature, 1924. The English Comic Characters and also Fools and Philosophers, 1925. And in 1926, George Meredith, The English Men of Letters series, Talking, These Diversions, and Adam in Moonshine, and finally Open House. I hope you've enjoyed that. I've really found it a pleasure to go back through the pages of this book and share each essay with you. And it's really warmed my heart to realise what a strong influence J.B. Priestley has had through the essays that he created for you and I. Tell me where you're watching from, or tell me where you're reading from if you've turned the volume down and are reading from the screen yourself. That would be nice to know. I'll see you again soon in another reading.